Well, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Shutters and Speed. We've got a real treat in store for us today. We've got this magnificent vehicle in front of us here, owned by my good friend Roger. So, without further ado, before we blow the bloody doors off, let's run them their titles, boy. Yeah, so welcome back to Shutters and Speed. Yeah, we've got this magnificent Mini Cooper in front of us, owned by my good friend Roger here. Now, we all know about the Mini and its status and the affection that's held by the great British public. But you know, when you see one for real in front of you like this, you know, everything sort of falls into place, as it were. And we're just going to have a quick chat here with Roger, its very lucky owner, so that he can give us an insight into how he acquired it and all the other sort of information behind it. So, Roger, how did you first acquire this in the first place?
I owned two other Minis besides this when I first learned to drive. In 1971, the car came up for sale and I bought it. I've owned it ever since, in different states for repair and what have you, mechanical sort of downfall sort of thing like they all had. In 1979, we took it off the road because myself and my wife were building a new house. Hadn't got time for the Mini and the house sort of thing. That stood in both my mum's for a couple of years. Got it back in the garage and started to strip it out. And there was basically nothing left of it, really, apart from the top of the shell that was worth anything at all. So everything was replaced. Every panel on it that we could put on it was done. I had a good mate who used to come over to mine from work where we worked at the time, and he used to come over and have his tea, and we used to have a couple of hours in the garage, and slowly the body got built up and sprayed with undercoat, and then that sadly stood there for 22 years because we all changed jobs, working a lot more hours, and just hadn't got the time to donate to the car. And then in 2006, I decided that I'd been standing there long enough, and I then started to sort of look at putting it back together, and went from put the engine back in, the subframes back on. And then that went for a respray, and I got it back in 2007, and early in 2008 all the interior was done and that went back on the road.
Wow. Well, I'll tell you what, Roger, that is a pretty comprehensive history.
Right.
Now, can we just recap there for a second? You say you've initially bought this car in 1971. 71. And was that when you was about the time when you was old enough to drive, shall we say?
Well, I think I was 19 by the time that
okay,
sort of
okay.
Thing. So, the other two Minis I had were only 850s, and obviously buying this for a 998 was a big step up. And in the day and age of the cars we was running then, I'm gonna say was pretty sort of big step to sort of take.
Yeah, well, you know, I mean, that is a pretty comprehensive history. So, and you know, it's pretty. So, from was it 2007 when you would say you finished it?
Well, the interior was done around the Christmas time in the 2007, and then by the time that had been sprayed and the rest had been finished off, that went back on the road in 2008.
Oh, I see. And that's been in this condition ever since?
Ever since, yes.
Yeah, wow. So that is...
Yes.
That is something else, isn't it? And I mean, there are a lot of details that you know, draw your attention, but the wheels are something that attracted my attention, I've got to say. So, did they come originally with the car?
No, that should have steel wheels on it, which I've still got in the garage.
Right.
So from the day they came off, sort of thing.
Yeah.
But the Mini light wheel was an iconic sort of piece to the Mini.
Yes,
because,
absolutely.
You know, they are Mini lights, I understand. They was what they used to, all the stars used to have in their glitz and glamour sort of piece of kit, what they had put on them, sort of thing, and that was, you know, that was the thing to have.
Yeah, and we mentioned off camera as well, didn't we, that you know, you've been recently to a show day somewhere. I can't remember exactly where, but that doesn't really matter. But what we can say is that you know, there was a lot of exotic machinery there.
Absolutely, Lamborghinis, BMWs, McLarens. All of the big top names of cars.
Yeah, and this one car of the day.
One car of the day.
Well, that is just incredible.
Absolutely, I was astounded at that little mini could win such a prize.
Wow. Well, you know, uh, it's just great. I mean, I've got one friend in particular I know who'll be very interested in seeing this because he's a bit of a mini nut.
Yes.
So that'll be of interest to him, I'm sure. But you know, well, it's just great to be able to see this.
Yeah.
Well, I think the next step is, Roger. We've got the background tour, so I think the next thing to do is take her out for a spin,
Yes,
and let's see how she goes.
Yeah.
So, as ever, let's have a close look at the fabulous detail on this wonderful vehicle.
Well, so here we are. We're out for a spin in the lovely Mini Cooper, and I have to say, this is quite nice. You can go along at a nice rate and take in the views. I mean, that is a little bump and boring a bit, and you know, a bit noisy. But I tell you what, that really is quite an experience, Roger, I have to say. Now then, you were saying on the camera earlier about how people approach you on. When you take it to shows and so forth, and sort of reminisce about their times with the car. And
I think in the day, I would say everybody back in the 60s, 70s had a Mini, a Morris 1000 or an Anglia, and everybody's got an experience of how they used to treat their Mini or whatever. It got a name for it, and used to all the time sort of be on about how good they are until you remind them how if they had any problems, and then people were, oh yeah, well that did give me some hassle like that, you know, or the water got in it and that'd stop and what have you, and, you know, but they all remember the good times about how good the Minis were.
yeah, I think I mean, I can remember one of my wife's friends had one, and you know, she was very much, you know, attached to it. I don't know whether she gave it a name as such, but she did certainly, you know, enjoy owning it. And you know, it was a bit like mopeds were for motorcyclists. These were sort of like freedom, weren't they?
Yes.
And they were the sort of car that you'd have, you just passed your test, that's what you could afford.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what you had. You know, and of course the boys used to jazz them up a bit, didn't they?
Absolutely, yeah.
And the girls, they used to just fall in love with them, didn't they?
Yeah.
And of course, you know, you'd do things like go through an old Ford or something or other, and that would splutter because, you know, that water got in the distributor or whatever. But, you know, that they were just, you know, such nostalgic times, weren't they?
Yes,
and
absolutely.
Every time when somebody goes to a show and they sees this, all those memories come flooding back.
Absolutely, yeah, they do.
You know, and, you know, here we are, living the dream again, Roger. We're going out for a spin, and I have to say, I'm thoroughly enjoying it.
Yeah.
You did say to me earlier, didn't you? You said that, well, you know, don't expect too much, but you know, it really is quite nostalgic. It really is. You know, to be driving along, you know, down a nice, quiet country road, and you know, having some fun. And I know, you know, we're obviously going quite steadily now, but these in their day, and I don't know you do sometimes, Roger, especially the way you set off when we left the village just now, they still get along quite nicely.
Absolutely, yes.
And they still go around corners well, don't
Yes, good, yes. I mean, that's surprising, really. I would say when you get talking to people, I mean, how many people used to hand the car down to a member of the family? We know one or two that have got them still, I would say, and that was their grannies or their aunts, or, you know, that was a car they'd had in the family for quite some time, sort of thing. It's not surprising to hear a car that has been in the same family for 40 or 50 years.
Yeah, I mean, even yourself, I mean, let's be honest, you've had this, what, since 1971, did you say?
Yeah, it's 53 years, I think, I've had this now.
So, you know, this is a bit of a morbid thing to say, I guess, but have you given any thought to what might happen to it in your passing?
I don't know. I would say that's going to be an interesting time when they actually do decide what they're doing with the petrol and what have you. Because if if the petrol is non-existent in the time well, when they finally get round to sort of the electric cars and one another, what do you do if you ain't got the petrol to run it? I don't know.
Yeah, that is a very good point, Roger. You know, with electric cars becoming the norm, and you know, fuel availability may well be a problem. I'm not sure it will be in our lifetime, but you know, in times to come, you know, when we've left the planet,
yes.
You know, people who've got these might have a few problems. But never mind that. We're here and we're enjoying it in the here and the now.
Live for the day.
Absolutely, fantastic. Well, thank you so much for taking me out for a spin. Right,
It's been a pleasure.
Well, Roger, I've got to say, I thoroughly enjoyed that. That was a
Good.
real. I haven't been in a Mini for God knows how long. I think my father had one as a bit of an old banger many years ago. And so to ride in this thing, in this condition, is an absolute joy, I have to say. And you know, the memories and the trips down memory lane, that not just for me, but hopefully for our viewers, will be immense. So I would just like to say thank you so much for bringing it on the channel for us and letting us have a look. Yeah, so everybody, I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have. I have to say, this has been a fantastic experience to go in a vehicle of this standard for a ride with our good friend Roger here and to experience this in the flesh, as it were. So the only thing left for me to do really is to call a halt to proceedings here and now. So I do hope that you've enjoyed this video, and if you have, I would hope that as ever you will like and subscribe, because that will then keep you up to date with everything that's happening on the channel. So I'd just like to say thank you, Roger, for allowing us to have a look at this car. It's been absolutely fantastic. So it's goodbye from Roger.
Goodbye.
And it's goodbye from me, and we'll see you in the next video.